Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the replacement of white Christian Gentiles. This is the Hollywood or the entertainment industry generally. It's not just in the US, but all over the Western world. Every country that the globalists are targeting white people for replacement is doing this, but they're changing out all the white characters from history, even factual characters. It doesn't have to be like the Snow Whites or whatever. It can be the factual characters. So I recently saw got a streaming service that I use, and a movie came up where King Henry VIII of England, and they're all white people. In fact, England was so white at the time, or the British Isles were so white at the time, that even somebody with a good tan, like a good suntan, people who were, say, from Spain or Italy or any of those sort of people, they were even people who were slightly swarthy were referred to as black. And that's not black as an African black. That's just with a good suntan. You are black. So you had something where somebody had say they had an English parent and an Italian parent, so they were slightly swarthy, and there was a guy there, and he was referred to in the time as a black man. So that gives you an idea of how white England was at the time. But this movie of King Henry VIII's times, they've cast Anne Boleyn, which is one of Henry VIII's white wives, and obviously white. They've cast her with a very black, not like half black, quarter black or something, but a very black, full black actress playing Anne Boleyn. This sort of fed into an ideological narrative. Well, she's black, she's a woman, and she's in a time of misogyny. So they had like three sort of hits on the victim point scale, which I think they clearly, the writers and producers, ejaculated over the very idea of so much victim points to sort of pack into one person, and then to replace a white person as well. I mean, wow, you can't get more woke than that. But it was beyond absurd. But there's no thought of changing, the Zulus in from that era and turning them into all white people or all Chinese people or something. That doesn't happen. It's only one way. And of course, this is only one way. It's only white Christian Gentiles, particularly men, but sometimes women are being changed. Now, of course, we can see recently, Snow White, Little Mermaid, all these sort of things. Now, the argument the entertainment industry can say, well, those are fictional characters. They can be whatever we want them to be. They can be, from outer space or something. Well, no, those were stories written for, in this case, a Central North European race. It was written for Central North Europeans by Central North, to be consumed by Central North Europeans, containing Central North European symbolism and landscapes and people and customs, habits, and so on. They were white Christian fucking Gentiles, that it was said in that, and again in Central North Europe. So the idea of putting brown and black characters into those roles is beyond absurd. There's another angle. Well, we have to make it relevant to audiences. Oh, well, don't tell that fucking story then. Invent a new story. Call it Snow Black or Snow Brown or something. Invent a completely new story and set it in downtown Mexico City or set it in Central Africa. You've got that option as well. But don't take a Christian white Gentile story and turn it into a fucking black extravaganza. That's bullshit. And it's obviously intentionally being redone to denigrate white society. And that clearly is the intention. But something I noticed just looking around, through, say, Jewish heroes throughout history and the Jewish, I'm a firm believer, by the way, that no matter how things go or should go or had gone, that the Jewish people have a level of intellect and capability that should always mean they're at the table, and the idea of kicking people out or letting them in or whatever because they're black or Jewish or this or that's nonsense on a merit-based system. and if you look at the accomplishments of Jewish researchers in medicine and elsewhere, or the atomic bomb, then it's widespread, and that should be appreciated and applauded accordingly. If you're going to have a successful, I believe, a successful society, then you need the brain power there to make it happen. And this should always guarantee the Jewish people, not every single one, but given the proportion of bright Jewish people, they should always have a seat at the table. Now, coming to looking at Jewish heroes and characters throughout history, and again, they're there, and then considering the latest Oppenheimer movie. The movie was apparently based or had some basis in the book written. It was called American Prometheus. Prometheus being the god of fire and all that. So I actually read American Prometheus, and I mean, it was rather turgid in parts, but overall it was pretty good. I'm one of the people that thought that Oppenheimer was mistreated afterwards. Now, he was indiscreet with his utterances and his associations and the natural leaning that Jews have to sort of that Marxist, we're all equal here, because they assume that gives them a form of protection that otherwise they couldn't get. We're all equal. But Oppenheimer is one of those rare people, like the Einsteins of the world, who has that touch of genius that so very few have, and I believe Oppenheimer had it. Certainly very driven. There's no questions. No matter I believe Oppenheimer, he did have it. So the movie, and I haven't seen the whole movie, so I'm looking at the excerpts that I've seen and my knowledge of the book American Prometheus and the reviews, but certainly from the scenes that the scenes from the movie that I've observed, it's sticking quite closely in terms of the characters, at least to the history. There's no black lesbians in the role of Oppenheimer or latinX trans people in the role of Einstein or something like that. So they're sticking to, not that they've kind of got Jews in all the Jewish roles, but they haven't changed it to the black lesbian thing, which is something they love to do to the white characters, white Christian Gentiles. So, but why not? So on that basis, I looked around, for movies about or that included Jewish characters. Whether you look at Warren Beatty's movie Reds and the Jewish activists around the trade unions at the time. I haven't seen a movie that depicts Leon Trotsky from the Soviet Bolshevik Revolution. There's no movie I've seen that has Leon Trotsky as a black lesbian. So why is it that the Jewish people are heroes throughout history, or even Jewish stories for that matter? Why isn't Moses being cast as a black lesbian? So why is it that Jewish characters are remaining untouched? It doesn't mean that they won't use a Gentile actor to play a Jewish character. That happens, but why aren't they being, as white people are, why aren't they being replaced with black lesbians and latinx and so on? So why aren't we having a movie that has Trotsky as a black lesbian and so on? So but that doesn't appear to happen. This is something that only had this race swapping and race changing only happens to white Christian Gentiles, which seems a bit odd. There's plenty of latitude there. I want to see Einstein played by a black lesbian. I want to see stories that say, well, really, Einstein stole his theory of relativity from the black lesbian peasant from Africa. I want to see a narrative spun like that. Why isn't it being done? Goodness me. But it's being done to white people. Everything white people have was stolen from others. It's illegitimate. Why isn't the same being said about Einstein or Oppenheimer? Why isn't that all illegitimate? But it's not. It's a form of degradation being uniquely reserved for straight white Christian Gentiles, who are the main ones that are obstacles, as the globalists see it, to the globalist project, which is, of course, why they're doing it. Jews, for the main part, are very much on board with the globalist project. As they see it, it destroys the power of white Christian Gentiles and thus will usher in a nirvana for the Jewish people. I don't think that'll happen, by the way. I think the white people stand up for so many good things that once those white people are gone, many of the good things will be gone, and therefore many of the protections that the Jews heavily rely on to prosper and so on will also be gone. And I think that'll be a dark time in the future. I'm almost convinced of it. Actually, it worries me. But look, for the moment, why is it that the Jewish characters aren't similarly being black lesbianized? And I think we all know the reason why. But isn't it funny that isn't it strange that only white Christian Gentiles, particularly males, or the use of females if it casts white males in a bad light, but why is it that only they are lined up for racial replacement and not the Jewish characters? You've been with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.